and salutations. It is I, Professor Macabro, here again to participate in Echo Zero's Echo Zero. Cha, 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 babies. 80's week for 2025. Yes, indeed. A lot of awesome people are participating in this Magnus event, and I suggest you check them out too. But Professor Macabro wanted to participate in this most momentous of occasions, and he is recording in the work-in-progress Spooky Shed. Yes, indeed. Still need to get the lighting properly set up, bring in the spooky crew, and finish setting up all the movies. Yes, indeed. Especially the horror movies. But since I am starting with the non-horror movies, I was able to get access to some of my non-horror movies that I can use to talk about for 80's week. Yes, indeed. And the one that I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about is something and a product that came out in the 80's. Yes, indeed. And I might be screwing up the rules. I do remember that Echo Zero mentioned that it had to be something non-horror related, and it had to be something that we hadn't talked about before, and something that's non-horror, hadn't talked about before. What was the other rule? I forgot. Well, anyway, non-horror, something that we hadn't talked about before, but I don't remember if you mentioned it had to be a movie. So I'm bending the rules as I tend to do and talk about anime. Yes, indeed. Anime! Anime! Hocha! Hocha! Honguraka Honto anime! Yes, indeed. I grew up in that wonderful time where anime was hitting its boom. We had TV shows like Messenger C when I was growing up. We had series like Robotech. We had Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z. No, Dragon Ball. And let me tell you, here in Mexico, the grand old country of Mexico, we had Dragon Ball uncensored. And, my goodness gracious, some of the shit that show had. But the one I chose for this one is Robotech, the Macro Saga. Yes, indeed. These are a couple of the DVDs that I have. I actually have quite a few more because I like collecting the series, but it's a bitch to collect for, I must admit, because a lot of releases come out, and there's a couple of upgraded ones, and Robotech, as we know it, is a compilation of 3 series. The first one is Robotech, that it had the robots that were planes and then transformed into robots that would fight aliens in a giant ship. And then they were like, wow, this was successful. Let's make more of it. We can't make more of it. Well, shit, what do we have? Well, we have this other thing that's kind of similar, but not quite. Stick it together, people won't care. And I could always tell the difference when something was Japanese animation as opposed to American animation. It just felt more dynamic, more vibrant, more movement, even though there wasn't really that much movement. Take something, for example, like, I don't know, what was that time? Raggedy Ann and Andy. The animation was but we saw something like Robotech, and it was like, holy shit, why aren't all cartoons as amazing as Robotech or Messenger C? And I just really like the robots or design of Robotech. Again, there were these really badass planes or jet fighters that would transform into robots on the GameCube. If you played the GameCube, I also think that it was on the Xbox. They released a really, really cool game of the first series of Robotech with the one with the giant ship, and they were fighting these aliens. Really, really good choice. Really, really good choice to play if you had the GameCube or the original Xbox. Yes, indeed. But, again, the rights are owned indefinitely, as far as I know, by Harmony Gold, and they're kind of strictly with their rights. And it was a miracle that got licensed and produced. So if you had a chance to play Robotech on the GameCube or Xbox, consider yourself lucky, because that thing was, chef's kiss. Yes, indeed. And this is very 80's animation, and more modern people might not enjoy it, but I sure as hell enjoyed it for the reasons that I explained before. It just looked better, and it looked more dynamic. The cartoons looked really different from what we had in previous years. Just really, really good stuff. And the covers are very, very cool. Again, it's a bitch to collect for and keep the track of because it was 3 series mixed into one. So the end of series 1 and you start seeing series 2 is like something totally different. But really, really good stuff. Highly recommend it. But again, collecting this thing is a bitch because you not only have to track down the series, but then you have to watch out for not double dipping and buying that extended release that they did. It's a mess, and the internet's not that helpful. But I highly recommend Robotech, and it was a big part of my childhood. Have you seen Robotech? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Did it take you out, the animation, as opposed to what you watched on TV? Let us know in the comments down below. But until we see you all again next time, this has been Professor Macabre, recording now in the still work in progress spooky shed, all alone because until I'm done I can't bring down the spooky crew and Wesitos. But I wish you all, like always, a good evening.